Hello Pisces friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Pisces December 2021 Astrology Must-Knows Horoscope Forecast. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com to see the interface of all the free goodies that I make for you each month. You don't want to miss anything that I work hard to make for you. And if you'd like to earn money as an astrologer, I can help you do that. And you can see this at my school, lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. So what do we have going on this month? A very powerful wrap up to a pretty crazy year. I'm going to go into the must-knows to help you make the most of the energies this month and to see what might be in store for you. The first major must-know is we have that big wrap up of the solar eclipse in Sagittarius at 12 degrees. This is the end of the eclipse cycle that started around March 2020. When the world shut down. So this eclipse cycle, this Sagittarius Gemini eclipse cycle, is one of those, one of the many layers that has factored into what we've experienced over the last couple of years. And this has been an especially difficult set of eclipses for Pisces because of the angle that's made between Pisces and Sagittarius and Gemini. So I'm sure you have been feeling that. This stressed angle has forced you to action over the last couple of years, and you are going to be feeling that again very strongly this month as storylines that have been at play for you for a while start to reach their final conclusions or the ends of major chapters and the big openings into the next series of what that's going to look like. But this hasn't always had to be a bad thing, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing this time either, because stress points in a chart astrologically show that you're going to be pushed to action, and sometimes you might not want to be. But you might find that if you look over the last couple of years, there were things that you were pushed to action to do that have actually worked out well for you, and that can happen again now. So if there's something that you need a little fire underneath your watery Pisces pot, this Sagittarius eclipse is very likely to bring it. All right, so that is the first major must know. Now, everyone in the Pisces spectrum will be potentially affected by this eclipse with major dramatic endings and shiny, brilliant new beginnings, drama, stress, or the triumphant accomplishment of things you've been working on for possibly your whole life. But those of you who have placements close to 12 degrees, so that's going to be like those of you in the first few days of March, those birthdays are going to be, or if you have anything next to 12 degrees, if you know your chart, you're going to be most affected by this eclipse. Now, I have some really great news. Actually, and two quick admin notes I forgot to mention earlier. This report is for you if Pisces is your sun sign or your moon sign or your rising sign, or if you have any other Pisces placement. You know, for all of these years, I've been encouraging you to find how to run a free birth chart online to get to know more about your chart so that you can make the most of what I make for you each month. And now, when you sign up for my free email newsletter list at anniehelpsyou.com, at the end of November, anyone that's on my email list will have the capacity to run a nice birth chart as a perk for being in my email community. And so if you haven't been able to figure out how to do that, when you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get the welcome to this feature newsletter at the end of November, giving you directions on how you can run your birth chart so that you can see how many placements of Pisces you have, what the degrees are, so you can use this in deeper ways. And also, if you are a late degree Pisces, so if you're like March 13th, 15th, through the rest of the sign, then, or 20 to 29 degrees, I highly recommend you additionally watch my Aries report because you late degree people have a more complex read. Okay, so back to our solar eclipse story here. The eclipses can bring changes to anything involving education, spiritual processes, anything having to do with your relationship to church or your belief systems, teaching, learning, international business, or travel. And because of the way that this is hitting in the Pisces chart, not only is the sign of Sagittarius aspected for you, but the house of Sagittarius is aspected for you. So that means that it's a full-on Sag experience. So you're very likely to see triumphant new beginnings, major endings, things coming to a conclusion, very big news in the sectors of education and spirituality and publishing and writing and speaking and international travel or cultures or different languages. Okay, so that is where this is going to most hit you. You can actually see more details about this in my video called Eclipses in Sagittarius. So all of the videos that I'm going to refer you out to for additional information are all on the homepage of my YouTube channel. So you can search for it organically, Eclipses in Sagittarius, or you can just go to Annie Botticelli YouTube and play on my homepage and look for the different playlists, and all of the videos that I refer to for extra information are going to be housed on that page. Okay, so big changes coming, and for all of you and those of you in that spectrum, especially towards the end of February, early March, are going to likely have even bigger effects. So that's the first major must know. The second major must know this month is that Venus is in retrograde. If you watched my November report, then I've prepped you for this. I've actually been talking about it for a while because Venus rules love, beauty, money, design, self-esteem, and it rules any big projects or small projects along those lines. And it can really, really dramatically affect the outcomes of what you do in any of those areas of life when you do things during Venus retrograde. So I have a very comprehensive list of what to know about this. So that Venus retrograde video that's on the retrograde playlist on my YouTube channel homepage, you definitely want to familiarize yourself with this, but I'll give you a quick summary here. You basically want to avoid anything in those areas of life, making decisions that are very long-term, are super consequential, are not flexible, or that you're not in a position to sustain. Okay, so for example, let's say you are wanting to cut off all your hair and you've been growing it for 20 years. The urge to do things like that happen in the beauty department. People get restless in the areas and want radical change in the areas that Venus rules during Venus retrograde. But that's not always the best time to make those big decisions, and particularly because it's in conservative Capricorn. So even though this Venus retrograde, the whole process is actually going to make amazing aspects for you as a Pisces, you want to just kind of only make big decisions that are easy to fix, easy to change back if you decide you don't like it, aren't high stakes, or that you have some flexibility around. So another example, let's say you are looking to buy a house. It's possible you could get a smoking deal on a house at this time, which could be really great because the housing market's been so hot, it's been hard to get deals. But you can also buy a money pit. So there's definitely a huge caution about spending too much money or overspending or putting yourself in a precarious financial situation when making a purchase in Venus retrograde. So you can see like details like that. I have them in that Venus retrograde video. You can also see more about this in the Venus retrograde section of my book, Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. So yeah, I expect this Venus retrograde to have special benefits for everybody in the Pisces spectrum, but particularly the March born, because the degrees that it's going retrograde are going to make kisses for your placements as a March born, or anywhere from 11 degrees to the rest of the sign. If you're in the February born, don't worry, you can still get goodies. This is still making a nice aspect energetically for you, but those of you in the March born or 11 through 26 degrees are going to get the biggest kisses, because as Venus goes forward and backwards and forward again, it's making this nice aspect for you. So the odds that you can get, the types of great things that can come from Venus retrograde, which are blessings coming from the past in romance or money showing up from people that had owed you this, anything going on with positive improvements in your love life, anything having to do with your self-esteem, or kind of going back and solidifying places that were not foundationally secure. And that is a big theme of Venus retrograde. You'll see that things along the love, beauty, money, design sort of arenas might have some things come back from the past, and some of those might be patterns from the past that were not fun. but the chances that you have to make something positive come from those patterns are much expanded for you as a Pisces because of the angle that's going on. Okay? All right, so some other major must-knows are that this storyline of you having like a fire under your butt to do some things, to evaluate some things, to look at some things, are going to be very strong, not only because of that eclipse in Sagittarius, but because we have so many planets moving through the sign of Sagittarius, and each one of those are going to be putting some pressure on your Pisces sign. You'll feel it as pressure, you could feel it as some stress, but you also can feel it as motivation, a readiness to finally do something about a circumstance. And it could also give you ambitions and the oomph that you need to do the things that you need to do. So it can be a very productive time. It also is going to be very busy. A very big must know is that Sagittarius planets are also mutable, the way Pisces is mutable. And if you haven't heard me talk about this before, if you don't remember, I'll remind you. Mutable energies move in this spiral nature, and they can get very scattered. And for Sag energies, they get very scattered with like their actions. And Pisces energies get very scattered with their emotions. And this can kind of lead to this spinning. And so when you have planets moving through the cosmos that are in this same configuration as they are for you, in some ways it's a language you can understand. So that's cool. But in some ways it can make you overstimulated, over busy, and you are going to have to pull your I need space card a lot this month to take your quiet space to kind of withdraw from everything that's going on. So don't be afraid to say no thank you to going to do things with people or making commitments if you're not feeling up to it. So this can be a good time for you to reclaim some of that power where you don't have to say yes to everything that presents to you, even if people are expecting you to do something. So you can assert your dominance in your yes-no sector at this time, and it's a good idea to do that. Okay, so we also have this energy moving through Capricorn. I spoke about how this makes nice angles for you as Pisces, but let's talk a little more about what the energy of Capricorn is and what it can do for you. Capricorn energy is like the antithesis of the Sag energy, and Pisces for that matter. It is very focused, it is very clear, it is very driven along one line into a certain direction. It's a cardinal sign. Cardinal energies are very specific in their direction, not like the mutable energies, which are kind of all over the place. So you will have some motivation to clear up your business life, to even get a jump on doing taxes early or organizing your financial space. This is a time when the idea of New Year's resolutions or something that you're trying to get more disciplined about is actually very much in sync with the stars, because these Capricorn energies can really help you to see the places in your life that need a little cleanup, that need a little organization, and they need a little systemization, and help you to actually start to put the blocks in place for what that's going to look like. Now, it will be gaining strength towards the end of the month, because like I said, the earlier part of the month with the Sag energy is going to be really scattered. But as the month progresses, you'll likely find, okay, now you're ready to get down to business, get ready to, start paying off the mess that you might have made from the holidays, anything like that, and bringing that into January for your new habits, your new year. So if you're trying to start a diet, or trying to start some other kind of plan, or trying to do something that needs meditation, or meditation is another example of something that needs discipline. So if you're trying to start a meditation thing or a routine, you might make your plan to say, okay, after the holidays, towards the end of the month, I'm going to start to do those things. And that might have better support at that time than trying to navigate through all the spinning. We also still have some energy lingering in Scorpio, and that is a very good thing for Pisces because, again, this makes a beautiful angle, and it makes an even better angle than that Capricorn energy for you, which is already good. It makes a trine, the most favorable angle in all of astrology. So that means this theme we've been talking about with motivation, oomph, desire to do things, readiness to change, readiness to take a hold of your life in a whole new empowering way, you have amazing support from Mars for that, and not only actions you take, but also support that you get from other people. So resources from other people, support, emotional resources, financial resources, anything like that is going to be benefiting you still through this month. And that is true for all Pisces placements, but there is a special extra kiss for those of you who are in the last 9 days of the sign. So those of you towards the end, will say about, like the 14th or so of March, or from like 21 degrees through the rest of the sign, if you know your placements, which now you can know your placements because you can go to my email newsletter list and sign up for that. Now, I do put these out early, so if you're watching this in October or the earlier part of November, you'll have to wait till the end of November for my that feature to run on my email list of being able to run your natal chart. But it will come, and I'm very, very, very excited about that. Okay. So let's see. So your close personal relationships might still factor in very strongly, and partnering with people might give you more support to do the things that you know that you need to do. And don't be afraid to ask for help, because the odds are that it will be in increased supply at this time. Okay, so the next big must know is we have another giant wrap up. It's not the final wrap up, but it is the wrap up for the year of this crazy Saturn Uranus square. February 14th, June 14th, and now December 24th. But it's been a theme for the whole year. We have the giant titans of the outer realms, Saturn Uranus, clashing. And definitely check out my Saturn square Uranus video. Again, that's on my Annie Botticelli YouTube homepage. You can scroll to the bottom. It should be there as a special feature, or you could just search for Annie Botticelli Saturn square Uranus. You really want to watch this, because it's not only explaining a lot of the themes that you've had in your personal life, that we've had at the community and world level for this year, it's also going to be very relevant for next year, because after this last clash of this year, we are going to have a little bit of a break before it starts to get very strong again, because Saturn and Uranus are going to be separating more in the sky, and they'll be out of the orb of influence, of strong influence, for a little bit. And then come like August through November of 2022, that's going to come back into play. But I'll just list a couple of the themes here, but definitely refer to the other video because I did a very thorough job of explaining a lot of the subtle and very obvious nuances of this big clash. Old versus new, traditional versus technology and new ways of doing things. Basically, tradition versus innovation, rebelliousness versus authority, old systems of everything. So finances, food supply, education, everything. Every system that we've had has been under duress, especially since 2008, when the market crashed. Pluto got into Capricorn. Pluto getting into Capricorn was like, hey, I'm here and I'm going to be here for a long time. And it's been there. And then we've added all of these other layers to the breakdowns of the old systems and the building of the new systems. So you'll be finding this story of when to rebel, when to, stay traditional. What needs to stay in place from the old systems as the new systems come in place, like basically not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. What foundations need to stay in place to hold the structure or hold the space as the new things form. And you'll see this being very relevant not only in your individual life, like what are you rebelling against? What should you rebel against? What ways can you make those changes that will be less disruptive? Do you have to be disruptive in order to reach the outcomes that you want? When is that going to be beneficial? When is it too much? And when do you need to take a more conservative route to your change? Those types of questions are definitely going to be coming up very strongly now as we have another chapter in this storyline. And this is another piece of the coronavirus impact and the systems breaking down, sort of layering of astrological experiences that we've had here. So you'll see that we're moving into another phase of what this stage of humanity is going to be experiencing. As the story with coronavirus is going to be wrapping up for some people in certain ways, we're not going to be getting rid of the coronavirus. It's something that we're going to work with for a long time. I think very similar to how we work with the flu. still. But there are stages that are going to be ending with this. And in some ways, in some places, it's going to come up as more restrictions again, or a lockdown again. In other places, it's going to come as a final solution. And now, okay, we're open. So when you're reading for a complex web of Earth experience where individuals, countries have different karma, all of the cosmos information is coming through the filter of our individual and our locational karma. So that's why we can't read the astrological transits as being one way for every single person. We have to speak to the range of potential expressions, and each person in each location is going to have a different type of experience along those lines. But in any case, something notable is happening at this time, and some things will gel in place in a great way, and some themes that are not yet worked out are going to get worked out, and we will start to see the different phases of the different chapters of the supply lines and the changes in agriculture from the climate change and all of these factors that this clash has been bringing up for us. But to be very positive and optimistic about it, we know that there are things that have been outworn in our experience, and we've watched these systems as they're so archaic, saying, gosh, this is not working. So the good news is that change is happening, and it's ripe. The whole playing field is ripe with new ways of doing things, and you could be an innovator in this process. It's people who did not know they were entrepreneurs can turn into them. People who did not know that they could have a world-changing idea can be sparked with inspiration. And that's one of the positive things that can come from this aspect. As we talked about before, Pisces is going through some square energy, which is a challenging aspect in astrology, but one that can instigate radical change. So that same square is something the world is going through with the Saturn-Uranus square. And the squares instigate change, and they instigate necessary change, and they do disrupt, but they do have the spark for the whole new way of being, and it is very, very exciting. And for anybody who has lost their job and their autonomy and their financial stability and all of that, I really feel, I totally understand from my own perspective of going through that in 2008, where some people have to go through having everything that they knew be completely wiped out in their experience from the financial and security sector in order to see how they can make sure that that doesn't happen again. And so that brings this story of sustainability and story of looking at how your life or your work or your patterns from the inside out are or aren't sustainable, and what changes you can make to help you be buffered in the future as we continue to have more change. So if you are going through that, then do know that resources are going to be available, and that the more that you do inner work, when I say inner work, I mean like The Presence Process by Michael Brown, Marriage of Spirit by Leslie Temple Thurston, EMDR, NLP, EFT. You can look up all of these acronyms and see these, plus many more. Your personal experience and your viewpoint are the only things that we can change. There are a lot of things out of our control, but you can work on your inner space that will help you to have the equanimity that you need to be brave and resourceful in times of great change, and to activate your super genius, which is another positive potential of this aspect. Okay, so all of these are major must-knows, because this is going to be very much coming into all of our experience strongly at this time. Okay, so one more major must-know this month, and this has to do with Jupiter moving into Pisces. And this is especially important for you as a Pisces because Jupiter is moving into your sign. And this only happens really over once every 12 years. Now, because Jupiter has a 12-year cycle. So you had a little dip into what this is going to look like in this summer of 2021, winter for you all down under. We had a little movement into the first couple of degrees of Pisces, and then very quickly went out. So those of you who are in the early time frame, so super early February borns, all February borns really, you all might have had more of a taste of what this Jupiter expansion is going to look like. So Jupiter expands. Jupiter is known to be the most benevolent of all of the outer planets of the archetypal energies. But it can be a mischief maker because it does amplify anything that's there. So as Jupiter moves through and touches your Pisces placements, whatever they are, this is going to happen between the end of December and the first third of May. All right. And then for those of you at the very, very end, just the last couple of days of the Pisces spectrum, you're going to have a little bit more of that energy come back around towards the end. What were the dates there? Hold on, I wrote them down and I just forgot them. So at the end of 2022, you all at the very end, like October 29th through the end of December, you'll have a little bit more Pisces, Jupiter and Pisces energy at the end of that year, next year. But the predominance of the Pisces Jupiter experience is going to be between the end of 2021 and around May 11th of 2022. Okay. So things getting worse before they get better. Anything that's a problem exacerbated so that you find a solution, or it could just be straight benevolence, straight expansion, amplification, amelioration. So the getting better of situations. It can be amazing luck, windfalls of money or help, or anything like creativity, resourcefulness. One thing I want to mention really quickly is a little trick for how to get yourself out of fight or flight. Okay, when we live in fight or flight, we don't have access to the prefrontal cortex powers, which are higher viewpoints and spiritual insights. So basically, seeing the bigger picture and being able to see a solution to a problem that you're feeling very stuck in. When we get into fight or flight, we lose that capacity. So one way to help yourself get out is to actually just hold your hand. I mean, just think about it. Like if somebody comes to you and they're telling you about something stressed, you're like, okay, just wait a minute. And you put your hand to your head. That is an automatic reflex that we have to help us get back into access of the prefrontal cortex and out of fight or flight. So you can hold your hand to your head, and you can do this for a child or for somebody else who's having a hard time, to help them get out of that spinning of fear and back into, okay, the trust, the faith, the higher solutions. Sometimes you have to do it for 5 or more minutes. Sometimes you can just do it for a minute and it just like brings you right back. But any way that you can do that as you have issues come up is going to help you to tune into the higher solution. And Jupiter in Pisces is one of the most amazing times for you and for all of humanity to reconnect with your intuition, reconnect with the language of spirit through synchronicity and through dreams, and to heal ancestral patterns that have been holding you back from your greatest experience. There are people that know things in the world that other people don't know, and they're using those things to help make their lives better, more prosperous, more vibrant. And you can access those things too. The way that you can access those things is, first of all, looking into them, like looking into the psychology of money, the psychology of finance, how you can change your psyche to align with the outcomes that you want to have. All of that is within your reach, and the more you focus on that, the more you can find those solutions. And now that Jupiter is going to be in your sign, the chance for that happening is way more expanded, and it's definitely something to celebrate. Okay, so I have given you a massive amount of information and must-knows to help you make the most of this month and to know what could be coming so that you can best prepare for it. If you want to have even more information, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com. Sign up for my free email newsletter. On the AnnieHelpsYou.com site, you'll see the interface for all the free things that I do for you each month, and there are so many. When you sign up for my free email newsletter, you get Shine, my 28-day virtual coaching package. Talk about inner work. This is an inner work powerhouse that I give you for free as a member of my email community. Also, new perk starting towards the end of November, as a member of my email community, you will also get access to run a free birth chart and see what placements and degrees you have so that you can use my videos that I make for you, these in-depth videos, in even greater ways. I have so many other resources, including books. My book, Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. You can find it actually on bookshelves in all the major booksellers in the United States and lots of other countries too. And if it's not there on the shelf when you walk in, you can definitely order it. It's on Amazon. It's pretty much everywhere. And it's a guidebook to help you align with the natural rhythms of the universe. If you'd like to be an astrologer as your profession, or just casually earn some money from your love of astrology, or just help yourself and your friends and family, you will love my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. If you think I go into lots of details, crazy amount of details in my free offerings, you should see what I give you in that course. So you can check that out at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. I also have some free courses on wellness and abundance at that site, which you can tap into. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.